All right, so my question, the last year have really come into my Christianity and my faith. So as a baby Christian, I'm curious where our loyalties should stand when it comes to Israel. And the second part kind of comes from the idea of replacement theory and the covenants. And obviously with Abraham, circumcision changed, that covenant kind of shifted. Is the new covenant truly transcendent? Does it alter everything that was before this?
Honestly, phenomenal question. Thank you for coming with such good heart. And honestly, welcome to Christianity. I can't wait to see you in heaven. So I get this question a lot. I will start and then Steve will continue. But let me ask you one question as you're wrestling, if it's okay. Do you think God breaks his promises?
I do not.
Okay, you do not. Yeah, you do not. So that's an important question. And again, it's not an easy answer, but it says in Genesis 17 that God has an everlasting covenant with the people of Israel, his chosen people. So we have a choice to make. We can say that was just exaggerative writing, or is that literal everlasting covenant with the people of Israel? Now, and then the question is, what Israel? I'll get into that in a second. Now, in kind of normative Protestant teaching, and Steve, you could chime in at any time, there is a spectrum all between dispensationalism or cessationism, all the way something from called remnant theology. I'm not even gonna get into that. But the most important thing in the question that we must ask is that, do we believe that the land rights given to Israel 7 times throughout Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and repeated in Joshua, are completely null and void? And the second part, which is important for those people that believe in replacement theology, do you believe that when it end times prophecy, when it says Israel, the physical place of Israel, that has any connection to the actual physical place today? Now you say, where should your loyalty lie? Where I disagree with some pastors is where they say we must defend everything that the Israeli government does. You should not defend everything that the Israeli government does, period. You are loyal to one thing only. You are loyal to Jesus Christ. And that is it. That is your standard. Now, with that being said, some of my greatest experiences have been in the nation of Israel. Some of my greatest travels have been in Israel. I saw where Jesus walked on water, where he was raised from the dead. I saw where he talked on the Mount of the Beatitudes. If you've never been to Israel, it will change your life. There is unmistakable spiritual energy in the state of Israel when you visit there. Unmistakable. From the Via Dolorosa, from the suffering servant of Christ, to see where Jesus Christ died, where he was crucified. It's amazing, right? What I think is happening, though, is that sometimes there's a theological argument and a geopolitical argument. The theological one, I'll let Steve kind of chime in on what the position of his church is, I think should be very, very simple, which is that the error I think replacement theology makes can be found in Romans 9, 10, or 11, where in Romans 11, Paul basically says, we are grafted in to the old covenant, that we are an extension to the Jewish people on top of us, that he says, no, even though the old covenant is way, do not cast away the people of Israel, but instead we are a covenant on top of. Now, there is an equally as confusing verse in Hebrews 10 that sometimes gets used by replacement theology. I don't want to get into that, but it's somewhat taken out of context. But the one other aspect, I got a lot of thoughts on this. The other aspect that I think is very concerning is that as this debate has come up, and your question was beautiful and wonderful, some people have used this debate as an excuse to peddle their Jew hate. And there is a disturbing rise online by some people of people that want to blame the Jews for why they have no money in their bank account and why their car ran out of gas and why they can't make good decisions. Everybody, if you are blaming the Jews for your decisions, you are on a bad self-destructive cycle and you should stop immediately and repent. That is evil and that is dark and that is wrong. You should not do that. But there's a lot of things the Israeli government does that I don't like. I can name them. The Israeli government has really bad abortion policies. The Israeli government has gay pride parades in downtown Tel Aviv. The Israeli government pushed the vaccine on all their people and basically turned Israel into a petri dish for a vaccine that none of us supported. I don't like the fact that the Israeli government mistakenly or unmistakably bombed the church the last couple weeks ago. We shouldn't support that. With all that being said, though, Israel looks like a much better country when contrasted with what I said earlier. with Islamic totalitarianism around it. They're not a perfect country. They're not a country that honestly we should even talk as much as we do, but we as Christians should pray for the peace of Jerusalem. That is unmistakable. Yep. We as Christians should reject Jew hate, and we as Christians should find unity in one thing that we can all agree on. We should seek to bring every Jewish person on the planet to Jesus Christ, because Jesus is the answer. Steve, do you want to explain?
Well, you know, there's so much stuff online, and I encourage our church not to listen to it. A lot of that stuff. It just creates confusion in that. I personally understand when I read the Bible, God created the Jews. It was a people he created that didn't exist, and he made them, and it was the Abraham covenant. And he created them to be his people. Now, they have rejected Jesus. We know that. Not all of them, but the country, the whole of the Jewish community, most of them have rejected Jesus as the Messiah, even though he was Jewish. And now it's the church age. We get that. But man, we should pray for peace in Israel. We should pray because he who blesses Israel will be blessed. He who blesses, and so we want to stand with them over any Islamic thing. And just because we have the New Testament doesn't make the Old Testament null and void. Now, Jesus fulfilled all those, the rituals and those things, and he fulfilled them, but we don't do away with it. Now, we understand the Bible. It's not always God talking. And a lot of it is our history. And the covenant that God gave is still our God. And he created, this nation. He created people. And he wants them to serve him. But now we have a better covenant. And that's through Jesus Christ. Because now God lives in us, not in a temple. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
And just a couple of thoughts in closing. There are a lot of verses I want you to think about, which it talks about, I will bring you from scattered nations and bring you into a great nation, which very well, I believe, I have a hard time not believing that is a fulfillment of prophecy when the nation of Israel was created. And this is a very important thing. It says to bless Israel. Who here wants to bless their kids? Raise your hands. Do you bless your kids by approving of everything your kids do? Do you bless your kids by saying your kids are always perfect? Do you even bless your kids by saying that you're on the right? No. So blessing does not mean approval. Blessing does not mean co-signing on behavior. Blessing means you want what is best. And you want what is best. And we should all want peace in Jerusalem, as it says repeatedly in the scriptures. God bless you. Thank you so much.
I hope that helps you.